the current RICO case pending in
Yeah,
Georgia.
yeah, of course. And what my point was that you can see the hubris, and just like the oh my, they're like, all I did was make a phone call. Like even Mark Meadows' case, which is going to be decided pretty soon. And I called this 2 weeks ago on Advocacy Arena. I was like, it's gonna be an uphill challenge. And the reason why is because it's a RICO case. It's not based upon his individual acts. In RICO, the best way to remember it is because the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So your participation in the whole is greater than the sum of your part in it. That means that if you have a very little part in it, all you did was dial the number to make the phone call so that one person could further the conspiracy. You are a part of the case because you made the phone call. You did something in furtherance of it. You cannot say, hey, like what I was just doing my job because I was a secretary. You cannot say that. You can't say I was just doing my job because I was chief of staff and I didn't want to make my boss mad. This is my job. Well, you know what? You could have said, no, this is going to be against the law. This is not a part of my duties. I'm not supposed to work on campaign stuff, boss. You might have to have somebody else do this. That's getting out of it. But all this stuff is interconnected with regard to what is going on with regard to laws, and how it's going to be interpreted with regard to our court systems, even our conservative courts and our ideological courts. Like Judge Cannon and Kazmarek are on the ideological side. Judge Alito, Judge Thomas, and Judge Gorsuch on the ideological side. We have Roberts and we have Kavanaugh, and we think we have Barnett on the structural side. And I don't think that they're going to be going for this idea that you can just get away with stuff because, I think that any appeal, I'm venturing off a little bit, but I think that any appeal that's going to be made, that's why this Meadows motion is very important. Any appeal is going to be made, it's going to be made technical. So I'm not expecting Meadows to be able to remove his case to federal court. And I don't expect him to be able to stall the case because of an appeal. I think the same thing with Judge Chetkin. I think she's very technical. And like a lot of people don't know anything about Judge Chetkin, she doesn't get overturned very often, if at all, because she's very structurally sound with regard to her rulings. They follow close in law to the D.C. Circuit and Supreme Court. And all this stuff is procedural when it comes to criminal law. So all these motions are not likely to, if they're not granted, they're not likely to be overturned in the midst of a criminal trial. The courts are not going to get involved in that part. On the immunity issue has already been decided, even when they were doing the grand jury. They adjudicated that a long time ago. And then this removal issue, this is just about Georgia. Even though it's new law, these are new, novel ideas that are being adjudicated, but we can look to precedent before and what the intent of not only the Constitution and the Supremacy Clause, but all the other things. And there's an irony here. They have the wrong Supreme Court and the wrong judiciary to make these arguments. Trump was probably right for himself to put Cannon on and Kazmarek on. He just didn't do it enough. He put on like people that are originalists and textualists that are not going to rule in his favor on these cases because they're like, that's not the intent of the Constitution. That's why Judge Ludick and Professor Tribe, who I'm not really a big fan of, but Judge Ludick is saying, hey, there's the Supreme Court. We have a 6-3 court that will say, hey, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment is a part of the they did it for a reason. And that's why that argument is picking up steam as well. So anyway, that's kind of like my Labor Day legal update. I know it was a gumbo of everything. And I'm trying to get it in time, but I'm down in New Orleans, so I had to make this legal gumbo for y'all. I hope that if you have any questions, I'm still going to be on. But we're gonna flesh this stuff all out over the next few weeks, few months, and keep on going with these updates, and keep on number one, keep on arguing, keep on fighting.